I leave 10:30, next hour and a half.
Night?
25 hour shift. It was only 2 calls. We did
Oh.
nothing all day. That call us right at the end. No, that's where the off duty happens. We stay at the airport has a hangar that's like a fire station. So bedrooms and a kitchen and a day room. That's where. 25 hours. It was only 2 calls. We did nothing. No, the houses are pilots, work 7 days in a row. And some of them live more than 2 hours away. So when they're
All
off.
right, so we're live on
Go there.
YouTube.
They can't drive more than an hour and a half or it cuts into their
Did
duty
everybody
time.
sign in?
And they can only be scheduled for 12 hours or fly for 14 and then we have to land wherever we are. They're done. We've landed in some oddball spots. And then we have to wait for someone to come get us and
Yes.
and then they can drive the distance home, but they can't fly it. 4 hours home? Sure. Drive it in the middle of the night, but you can't fly 30 minutes. FAA.
This might be a short meeting.
Cancel.
Yeah.
Are we sending Tom a text? Or
I don't
do
have
we-
Tom in my phone. I do have Jamie in my thing though.
I think I have Tom.
It's just had to work on it.
Did anybody text James or Tom?
We're doing it right now.
Tom's here.
Oh, all right. There's one.
Hello.
Okay, thanks.
She's walking in.
She's walking in.
Spell your name.
Jamie, Kelly's not coming. Well, she may be late, but she had another engagement. She called me today.
Oh, okay.
I run the fires department because
That's okay.
it's only an hour early. Okay.
Did you get in?
She might.
Are you in?
It's just,
Okay. Okay. Jamie, a minute to sign in. We start.
I have to officially sign into this.
You there? Okay. 6:01, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'll ask those who can, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I hope so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Big opening. Wasn't looking. All right. This time I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Yes,
when you do that, we need to make a small change. on the
okay.
So we have listed, in closed session as in item D, Title I coordinator. It's not the coordinator. Becky Wickland is our coordinator, Title I teacher. So Becky just wanted to make sure you guys knew she wasn't.
Okay,
So if we can just.
Okay.
That change.
I understand. All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda with a change to closed session item D to change the word coordinator to teacher. Do I have a motion?
I'll make,
That motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Katie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Sorry, I have to get back up to where I'm supposed to be now. All right. Comments from the public? No one. All right, then I will move on to the accepted of the donations. We do have a donation from Parker Hannafin to apply towards overdue lunch accounts.
I will accept that donation.
I'll make the second.
We have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Katie to accept the donation of $250 from Parker Hannafin. And any discussion?
Do we have it? Like,
Yeah, I
I
was
don't know,
gonna
like
ask.
from last year, we probably still
There's
do.
still some. Is it? Well, and they do have to, if they're getting milk, they have to pay. So there's.
If they get just milk, you have to
They
pay.
have to pay.
And if you get like a larger meal or something, you have to pay. So there are still some costs.
Are we closer than we normally are to a zero balance on it? No idea.
I have to assume we are. I mean, if we're not charging every
I
kid.
was, I mean, just curious, maybe if Tiffany can just update us, just out of curiosity, because I would be interested
Mhm.
to know where we're sitting with that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we are looking to accept a donation to the band from the Nelsons.
A motion to accept the donation.
I'll second
it.
I have a motion by Tom, seconded by Steve to accept a $300 donation to the band from the Nelsons. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report. So at the end of December, we were looking pretty bleak. Really high into lending or borrowing, I should say. I believe taxes have started coming in, Laura, so we're looking a little bit better, even though that particular report is not very positive.
So we're negative 280,000 almost.
At the end of December.
Okay.
Did it work out to go to community bank to increase that short-term lending?
we can't do that until we renew it.
So we have a certain amount we can short-term borrow with, but we have to go back. and-
So when we, like,
I thought
we
were getting the
renew it every
maximum.
year,
Mhm.
and then, so then we'd have to
Ask
ask
to do.
if
more
they would
for the
be
next
willing,
year.
and they have to look at,
Yeah.
there's certain numbers, they're federally obligated to look at a school district to see how much you take in versus how much you can borrow versus, I don't know, some weird formula.
And we've been in contact with community. Bank.
Okay.
We're planning on doing it when we can, when we have.
Correct.
opportunity, yeah.
Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Jamie. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. President's report and correspondence. I have no correspondence, but I am going to just make a brief statement here. Looking at the upcoming election, we have 4 seats and only 3 people running again. About a year, maybe 2 years ago, I strongly suggested we go to a 5-member board. There is a legal way to do that. And you have to go to the county. They have to tell you the certain number of people that voted, and it has to be a particular election, and you have to get signatures from 25% of that amount of people.
Get on the ballot.
No, to
To
reduce
just-
your board.
Just to make it
Yes.
happen. Okay.
So I am going to strongly suggest again that the board look at that procedure because of the fact that we obviously cannot keep a full board. And if we can't keep them, it's silly to keep trying to fill slots because nobody gets trained and then they're gone and then there's another person and before that person gets trained. So I think if you had 5 really committed people, you would be better off than 7 semi-committed people. So that's all I have. So Committee chair reports, budget, finance and personnel. I am the chair of that committee. We do have several items primarily enclosed coming forward tonight. Also, a decision needs to be made tonight on the borrowing. And so we'll be doing that under new business. Katie, buildings and grounds.
Yep, it was really, most of the discussion was on the loan options for the playground.
We just didn't have a meeting.
We didn't have a meeting.
Oh, yeah, so that was what we talked about last month. Cancel meeting because there wasn't anything else new to talk about.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right. And policy and planning has several policies coming forward this evening as well that we will be voting on. Kevin,
Okay, so you see there's a card in there. Thank
Yes.
you from the Department of Public Instruction. So just want to share that, whenever we get a thank you. And then the second piece of item in there I have is the fundraising informational piece that I was required to do. It's pretty board, looks pretty straightforward.
all right. Any questions for Kevin? Then Carrie, you're next.
Hi, good evening. I was just going to update you as always. It's testing season coming up upon us. We start with our ACT grade 11. And so we're just getting ready to kind of roll that out. I'm also mentoring a new DAC. So that's taking a little extra of my time from another district. I volunteered to do that. But it's working good because it's making me make sure I'm on time with everything. Not that I'm not, but so just assessment season's coming and we're going to roll it out just like always. And I'll talk about open enrollment numbers in the new business.
Any questions for Carrie? Jamie?
We'll be talking open enrollment numbers and new business.
Okay. We took the easy way out tonight. All right. Denise.
I also will be.
All right.
It was a full agenda. This was just.
Yeah. Tara.
Well, I am not talking about open enrollment. Tribal truancy program is up and running. The tribe has adopted their own ordinance regarding truancy, which is a little bit more strict with how many days students are allowed to miss. So I just sent in our first batch of referrals, and we're hoping it's going to be kind of a restorative, more helping families overcome barriers rather than punitive.
So is the tribe planning to issue this information to tribal families?
So what is happening now?
I haven't heard or seen.
So the new, the tribal truancy coordinator, I think that's her title. Melissa, she has been trying to introduce herself, been trying to do that. She did send us a form. So whenever John or Liz sends out a truancy letter, warning letter, I'm asking them, if they're my students, to include Melissa's letter saying, we are also watching you too. So.
And I know that was like the parents had brought that up, that this was a more issue for their concern, but you said it really wasn't there isn't a lot of truancy going on.
Overall, if you look at our numbers, they are great.
Yeah.
But we have a couple students who are terrible.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you look at it as an average, our native students are coming to school and they're doing well.
Okay.
But when you kind of.
I think that's if we looked at any department in the school, we're going to have a couple of kids that are pushing the limits.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
they're kids. Any questions for Tara? All right. Then we will move to the approval of the minutes from the December meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the December meeting.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Steve, seconded by Katie to approve the minutes from the December meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Middle school wrestling softball transport.
Okay, as was suggested by the committee, I think, was that have Mr. Karsten come up with some ideas and a recommended transport method for kids in wrestling. We've been talking at length about softball, but Wrestling depends on our numbers, and I think that's part of the reason the lateness came. Wasn't sure how many kids we had to be transporting, especially at the middle school level. So, you guys have a copy of that in your documents there, and then Ryan, was gracious enough to come tonight. I just asked him to speak to this a little bit. He's been doing this a long time. We've had teachers just take kids, and I think it's probably appropriate right now that we look at a plan. And I think part of the reason is we just have so few at times, we just don't know.
And it says middle school wrestling, high school wrestling is also included in this. We just have a special case this year we have 3 families. And that's all that are wrestling currently.
Okay,
So the DeJocks, Lucas drives, the Wilchelts, Joe drives. And Lana Knoll, due to Brock's medical condition, Lana drives the boys every day. So we don't have anybody that doesn't fit into one of those 3 families. If we get another kid that, say a freshman, if Nick Swanson, who wrestled last year, wanted to this year, we'd have been responsible to get him there as well. We just don't have anybody this year. And Coach Nichols' job, time responsibility changed for the past multiple years. He has transported those needing to get down there on his own time, on his own dollar. And currently we have 3 middle school wrestlers that are, and Dan Johnson, out of the kindness of his heart, is transporting them, or I am. Like today, they had a meet in St. Croix Falls. So I had to leave this afternoon, check out a van, drive them down there, and then come back. Granted, that's in the school day, so that is not in the policy as you see. If I'm going to leave during the school day, I don't expect to get paid above and beyond that. But I wrote it in there. I don't know what's acceptable or whatever. I try to not bust the budget. I just said, what if we put it out to an aide or somebody else to do it? Softball, the coaches or I have done it for the last 10 years. And it's just kind of been one of them things that's been lumped into the AD duties. Well, nobody else is gonna do it. Just let me take the van and go. Well, one day I'm not gonna be here and I'm not thinking the new AD coming in is gonna go, no, that's not written into my. And I've just done it out of the kindness of my heart. Let's go and get back. So I just, for farther down the road, and gymnastics is also, but we currently have nobody. We were starting the gymnastics co-op next year.
Just trying to make sure we were live.
And we will have nobody currently in high school gymnastics next year.
Sorry. Give me a second here.
How are those wrestlers getting home at night?
So much.
We've talked with parents.
The parents are big, because
I mean, as
most,
long as it's communicated, because I know like we had that issue with softball, but like the coaches never like
right,
let
and
the
and
parents
we
know
talked,
that.
we
and
talked
so-
to the 3 sets of
Yeah,
parents
I
and
mean,
they're comfortable this year.
As long as
But I
it's
wrote
clear.
in that
Mhm.
policy that somebody would have to go down and get them, because it shouldn't be the parents' responsibility to have to get them, but that is the current arrangement right now. Dan Johnson takes them down for practice, their parents pick them up in Frederick. Because most people are done with work by 5:30, they can get there to do it. And I'm just saying, there's gonna be a year that a parent says, no, I can't get to Frederick to pick them up. You guys gotta come up with a plan. But you guys did do the driver of family members and fill out the 3-page paperwork. That's what the Wiltrots did. That's what the DeJocks did. So we have those on file with the district office. So I'm just looking for an organized policy that people can sign up, or I can dictate, and I can go out, and it's much easier if I can say, yeah, you're going to get a small stipend at the end of the week or at the end of the month. Can you help the district out by running them down there or back?
Is the wrestling to softball, like they're both showing 45 days, but they have different,
Because softball is,
the length
Webster's
of time?
required to return now.
Okay,
There is a bus that comes back, and the 45 days is just a gut estimate
Yeah.
based on. If softball practices in Siren, then our girls can drive to practice because it's within the school district grounds.
Got it.
But Webster's attorney's insurance allows all the Webster girls to drive wherever they want. And same with Grantsburg and same with Frederick, I believe. We're the only ones that don't allow all students to drive.
Some kids aren't drivable age.
Right.
they let them drive with non-family members.
Oh,
And that
Okay.
was the incident
Yeah.
probably 7 years ago when the foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
Unfortunately
Yeah,
passed away.
that's, yeah,
And they had 4 kids in the truck going from Frederick to Grantsburg. Lost control and the foreign exchange student lost his life. They were transporting.
Yeah.
Kids were transporting kids to Grants Per.
I don't
I
like
think there was an
kids.
estimate before that, like closer in 2000, we started going up to Gransburg or something too.
Yeah, that one I don't remember, but I do remember.
Where's,
the-
where's gymnastics gonna be?
Gymnastics is in Grantsburg.
I
In the
figured
old-
that, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
sure. I hadn't heard
it's
about that.
next to the new chiropractic spot, as long as the village owns the building where they practice. And I know we have multiple, I think we have 6 or 7 elementary kids that are quite into it deeply.
At
And
this
that-
point.
Well, they're just very good at it, and I've already talked to 2 of the parents who were wondering what, so now, in my opinion, the sign that co-op paperwork is just better to show them that we would
Mhm.
belong to that, so they can continue to do it, otherwise, I think they would have looked at an open enrollment
Mhm.
possibility to go to a place where their kids could participate as middle schoolers and high schoolers.
So, I mean, this is not a huge amount of money. Guarantees our kids get to where they need to go safely.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a choice. It's
That-
the-
in my
it's the
opinion, we don't
co-op
have a
language
choice.
that we have to get
Provide.
them there, so. Do we think we have people that would do these positions when they come up?
What I'll just do is I'll do a monthly timesheet, I'll do a Google Doc, this is what I need. I've got these covered, these kind of like I do for winter workers, I do for whatever else. I have to get my coaches, and I've already talked to the softball coach, Aaron's already almost got the schedule done. Her and I have talked, and the middle school coach for wrestling, I just need to communicate a little bit better. He goes, so what time are the kids getting here today? I said, what? He goes, we gotta meet. Okay, let me figure this out, let me get a van, here we go.
Yeah.
So but once it's new, once we get that whole process worked out, it shouldn't be hard at all. I'll send it out to staff or people that I know, because I know some staff like to go home or live out of the district, but similar to if we do the weight room thing in the
Mhm.
summer, I will get
Do-
that taken care of through my.
Do we need this position added to that extracurricular sheet? That we have, that larger document that just spells out?
I don't think so. That wasn't my thought either.
No.
I don't,
Okay.
well, I mean, this
Like,
isn't
I
really
think we could've-
specifically an ad, cause like we don't have like when someone's doing the taking tickets or
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
the hall.
It's more like an extra duty kind of thing than an actual
Okay.
position.
So is it 2 hour? How long is the wrestling?
Practice is roughly 2 hours, and that's my deal in case somebody had to come back and take their kids home, drop them off. You know what I mean? I said sit fee rather than if you go down, drop them off, come back, do what you wanted to do for 2 hours and go back. That's on your own time rather than the $5 in gas, rather than paying them $20 to sit there. I think we're more apt to get people to do it if they can, at 3:30, run them down there, come back at 4. Work in your classroom, take your kids home, make them supper, do whatever you want. Then I just gotta run down there, pick the kids up, come back.
And you
That-
might have 2 different people if you did
It
that.
might be 2
Yeah.
different people as well. I just thought having somebody go down there and sit there for 2 hours,
Mhm.
it's gonna be much easier to find people that are willing to drive down and come back.
Are we also
Yeah.
locking this into using a school vehicle and not personal vehicles?
When there might be a trip, there might be a situation where the vans are not available. So the people that would have to do it, such as myself or somebody else, we have to go through the whole,
They have to do the proof of insurance and the whole thing with the
Insurance and-
office.
Dan has
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
yeah.
Are they getting mileage then on
Yeah.
top of this pay?
no,
No, he hasn't, but with that, is that what we
no,
would
they
do?
would use, not if they're getting paid.
But Dan hasn't been getting anything.
No.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, would he continue to do that and we would pay him to do that then? Is that how it looks like or no? Or no?
We could, if he's willing to do that, for sure.
We could give him the $15 for driving them down there.
If he's going down there that way and says, I'll just keep, I don't know.
Take him down there, pay him his $15 for his time and
We call
effort,
it
and have
good.
somebody go back and pick him up. But yeah, he did that all last year
Add
out of
something
kindness of
more
his heart
since you
because
take his own vehicle.
we were applying last year.
That's why I asked about the mileage part. Cause the pay is just for time, it's not for mileage.
Right, but
on
he's
their-
going there anyway,
He's
right?
driving right.
I mean,
He's
that's
driving
what I'm saying.
home.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going home anyways. He has no extra mileage.
He's just driving through, go home.
Is
Yeah.
Tate wrestling?
No, Tate is not wrestling this year.
So, yeah, so,
Okay.
I mean, if he's willing to do it for nothing, if we're giving him $15,
And
he's gonna be
that's my-
happier than he is now, right?
My other thought was Lana Knoll as well, because if we could never find any, next year when Brock is
Yes.
gone. If Lana can park here, take the school vehicle down. You know what I mean? And instead of
Yeah.
using the wear and tear on her vehicle, if we wanted to hire her to do it as well.
She's not
Okay.
more than just Brock though, right? Or the other
But
boys don't
when
wrestle?
Brock
They
is
do.
gone, she might not have to necessarily go to every practice.
Mm.
She goes to every practice to be Brock's medical
Mm.
person,
Oh, okay.
but she's also got Brett and Blake.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the $15 one-way trip and.
But just the recommendation.
The recommendation, yeah.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to accept the recommendation for non-bus transportation for sports. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Can I
you.
ask one thing on that?
Certainly.
When do you want that to go into effect?
Immediately.
Well, do we rec-
right?
Immediately.
Today, Dan and I will work something out.
Can we
Immediately.
go to like, so is it starting today? Dan will start getting paid, or are we gonna start paying him from when he started doing this
Retrospectively.
season?
Well, that's up to you guys.
I think Dan will be happy if we did it. Dan did not come to me. This did not come from Dan,
I think we should just do effective today.
Okay.
I think we open up a can of worms if we start
And I will-
retroactively anything.
Yeah.
And do we turn it in like?
You know.
Then my only other question is, do we turn it in like a sport, at the end of the season, turn it in with, these are the.
You have to work that out with Laura, however
Okay.
it works for her to do the payroll, because she's the one that has to put in the extra time to do the payroll.
We'll start it effective tomorrow.
Okay? Everybody's good with that?
Yes.
All right, so let's move on. Allergies.
Is it huge?
Yeah, so we went to policy and I talked about this because there are organizations that use the school facility on the weekends and that, and we don't have a formal policy. We just are following the guidance of the 504. And the committee wanted to bring it forward to discuss, but at that time, the committee decided they would just continue to honor the 504 on weekends as well. If you want to comment on any of that or.
So requiring that outside entities use our allergy policy.
Correct.
We don't have a policy. but
We don't have a policy. What we're saying is we've posted the building. We're leaving it for everyone. We're not removing it on the weekends for outside activities in the building.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just safety, I think, for our student, because we don't want to be like, oh, it's safe during the week, and then it's not. And then I think it's really confusing to our elementary students who are potentially here on the weekend, like, oh, I can have peanut butter, I can have whatever. And then come Monday,
Yeah.
like, I think,
Well, and if things could be left in the building, I
right.
mean,
I do have a
I just think
question
it's still somewhat of a danger.
about it. Like, how much are we reading our labels? Because the Twix in the concession on the backside says may contain peanuts.
That's because
They're,
they're not, it's not in the ingredient.
yeah, they're
it's
processed in the plant.
processed in a plant that does contain peanuts, and we were specifically instructed by the parents that it does not have to come from a nut-free facility. So it's like that person could not consume that because there is a possible contamination, but it's not to the point that it would be like airborne.
Okay.
Big, basically, it's far less.
There would be basically nothing we could serve if it had come from a nut.
Did the clarification on all the types of nuts ever come through? No.
It was my understanding that the allergist is just simply not sent it, won't send it, so.
So the committee didn't want to do anything with this. They wanted to leave it the way it is. If anyone feels differently, now's your chance to speak up. Otherwise, we're going to move on. All right. Policy 453.4, administering medications. This did come from policy with the recommendation that it be approved this evening.
And it was talked about having a consistent person distribute the meds. I don't know, Peggy, if you want to comment on that, but.
Yeah,
That's how
so
we tried to lay it out.
the main change is that the consistent person who is in the health office, meaning the person who's generally there every day, will be responsible for giving out the medication, even though that person is not necessarily the registered nurse, because there's less chance of a mix-up if you have the same person doing the same thing every day.
Yep.
So that was our major change to this policy.
Yeah, we have a shared nurse, so that makes
Yes,
sense.
and so like she might be here a whole week, but then we might not have her at all for a week. And rather than subbing people in with drugs with the amount of our kids that are on meds,
Mhm.
this seemed our safest way to go. So I am looking for a motion to approve policy 453.4.
I'll make a motion to approve that policy. I don't know, I just clicked out of it. I apologize. I can go back.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Jamie, seconded by Steve to approve policy 453.4, administering medications. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Policy 457, event concession sales.
Okay, so, between Laura and we were talking with, Marcus, our current supervisor, and having a real hard time getting people to work in sessions. So, I pulled some schools, we looked at some of what other schools do, and so basically we came up with a policy through the policy committee of having basically each one of our school committees, staff committees, take one evening to work concessions. Then, and it doesn't have to be the entire group, it can be just a couple of people who are maybe willing. That they would get the proceeds for that to use with their committee or generate back to school, whatever they chose to do with that. And so then after that had been satisfied, we'll open it up to youth sports groups. Then, after youth sports group, we'll open it up to committee groups. For example, that we used there was like, Moms for Kids or 4-H. And then the proceeds, the committee decided to change to 70-30 with 70% to go to the group running the event and 30 going to the administration's account. So, basically, we're gonna mandate some staff to do it at a minimal level and then open it up to other organizations. So this is the best we could come up with right now to try and have our groups work concessions.
And this also came from policy with the intention of being passed this evening to include the change in a higher percentage going to the group. Managing it in hopes that maybe they're a little more willing to help out.
So then, I see here, it says each staff committee will be required to work blah, 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 provided by the athletic director. So then, Ryan, you're gonna be in charge of this or?
So,
Where do you,
First ever.
so no.
No,
So what
I don't-
happens is- So he sends out a list. And
Okay,
on that list in the winter, it's all the winter workers. And on
Okay.
that list is the concession stand with the ticket taker and everybody
okay,
else.
okay,
So that's what's meant by that. He would fill that in as to what group is running it
okay.
so that everybody who looks at it knows. And that's open up to the entire district. So that's what that means. We'll
Okay.
still have somebody who's willing to help with the coordination.
All right.
What do you call me?
Concessions coordinator.
Yeah, the concession
Okay.
coordinator. And that person will help make sure that there's everything in there and all that, like they're doing now.
So on previous agenda item,
Mhm.
one of the classes wanted to do a fundraiser.
Mhm.
Well,
I was saying about the same, I have that too, that's,
Can't-
I was waiting to know if we wanted to vote, if we wanted to talk about it, because I was wondering why. I was looking at this too earlier, like going, why are our classes, like, why isn't 2024, even like the sophomores doing like homecoming to start raising money
right,
for
I
the
don't know
football?
why.
And then no offense, Tara, I was kind of wondering, like, is your group,
What group?
like,
Yeah, he doesn't have a particular group.
Yeah.
just,
I just think they
some of
choose
our
not to.
students, even if we created,
But would,
no?
I don't-
but student groups, where would they fall in there? Could that be sporting, youth sporting and school
So
student groups?
May is very involved. Can I
Yeah.
ask her to speak to this? If you guys, is that, are you guys okay with that?
If she
Yeah,
wants to, she doesn't look like she wants to.
So I
speak.
will, there are a lot of our groups in the high school. Like NHS, for example, 95% of the kids are in sports.
Yeah.
They can't, and they run their Dragon Den, so they cannot physically get enough people to run the concession stand.
okay,
There are teachers who have tried to get classes to do it. Kids won't sign up to do it. They won't sign up to it. We tell them, hey, this is a good way to raise money for prom, whatever. They don't care. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to do the work. They don't want the time in.
Okay.
So the teachers have struggled to get kids to do the concession stand, and that's why there's been so many problems. I know a lot of times.
Not for lack of trying.
Yeah.
Right.
Not to say this, it's not like, oh yeah, I remember that,
Andy
we've
Dwyer
talked
in the
about this.
past did it a lot.
Mhm.
And I know that when it's trip time, then the kids are willing to work
Mhm.
because, or their parents are willing to work because it gets money for their kids. So it's, right now, teachers are just struggling to get kids to do anything.
Can we add some sort of signage outside the concession stand that's like tonight's concessions brought to you by, so that a group can put their,
But when we're
Thing
doing
there.
these guys, that would be more admin and.
Well, we
well,
do
not
have
like a real
topic-
sign, just
We
like,
do have a topic of signs coming to buildings and grounds. I
Okay.
suppose we can talk about.
not like a real one, just like a, something on the bulletin board.
Something that could be.
Something that they can tape up.
Whatever the group that's running it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within this policy too, it does talk about each team,
Mhm,
each organization, like taking 2 dates.
mhm.
So,
And that's where can I just say something?
but they don't have to do it during their season though, that's the thing.
But like NHS, if there's a bunch of football players or there's a bunch of volleyball players, how are you gonna get enough NHS? Can
But
they
it doesn't mean
combine?
the whole group, like some of them can. I mean, not every person in a NHS is in sports, are they? I'm not sure.
There's maybe 2 or 3 that aren't.
But they're not all in every
sport.
sport. Like the volleyball girls can work a football game, the football boys can work a volleyball game. There's,
Then we have issues
will be
with
required.
payment.
Do we need this, each team and activity group to be listed out in this policy so that? Because it says that they would need to sign up for 2 events per year and then it would go down to the staff committees. Right? Is that?
And then are
am I
we also,
reading that
and then
right?
are we also requiring, I know Blizzard, came in one time, so are we including our hockey co-op? I know
But that
our
was-
I think it's
softball
probably
has
with the
done,
co-op, it's a little
has
more
done
difficult.
one.
it's more difficult with the co-op because they have to run concessions at their own events.
Right, oh, that's, okay.
I
Well,
mean, I
either
would think
way,
they would allow it.
If they wanted to, yeah.
Mandate that, I don't think.
but then we're gonna have the issues like, okay, you're mandating the football, the volleyball and the basketball team, but you're not mandating the co-op. I mean, I get it.
Look, guys, if you got a better
If
plan.
it's, I don't know, I'm just
I know where you're
saying.
going with
Yeah.
this.
Well, but somehow we're gonna have to just spell out, if that's the first,
We're gonna get a
line
lot
on
of
here.
different committees and the
Yeah.
staff too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the co-ops,
So-
I mean, co-ops, the hockey have their own concessions. No other group goes over there and helps them. The
there
softball and
you-
baseball are at their field.
We
And
don't
that's not
have
us doing those.
concessions I don't even know what is it, Siren runs a concession, but it's nothing to do with the baseball. It's the village who does the,
Village does that, but, for any of the Brian baseball dudes run that concession stand for a bunch of the
oh, do they get money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they go
And we
down
have
and
no
work 2 or
concessions
3.
at softball.
And they
There's
work
no.
My suggestion on the co-ops is we are not the head of any of the co-ops. If we are not the head of any of the co-ops, you leave the co-ops out. That's.
But we can maybe at least, yeah, put that.
I mean, they could volunteer if they wanted to raise money,
So
but
here's the other thing, let's say you have somebody who wants to do it. Like somewhere in here, should we put something like if somebody wants to do it, they get like they can have it versus all these other. Like they get first choice?
Yeah, like if Moms for Kids is like, I'll take 10 of the spots, do
I'm
they
gonna
get
have
it
to
over everyone
Probably
else?
teachers to try and
Yeah.
staffs be like, can a couple of you just do it?
well, I would say then, okay, let's say Moms for Kids, just because you use them for an example, want 10 slots. So they could go to the football team and say, hey, can we have your 2 slots?
You want them to work it out with,
Peggy,
Yeah.
there's a way better way to do this, sorry, but this is my opinion.
okay,
Okay, do it as it is, but have a running list. This is the list of the crews. If nobody signs up, like Marcus put out for the 26th. Nobody signed up for the 26th. You're on the top of the list. You're responsible for the 26th. Figure it out. Then you go to the bottom of the list when the dates are open.
So whenever there's nobody that's.
Right,
signed
whenever
up, that's
nobody
when you
wants
go
it,
to
because my
policy?
3rd and 4th grade baseball, Katie's helped me out. We just picked up 4 of the last 6 because nobody wants to do it. I'm happy to do it.
mhm.
I'm happy to organize to do it, whatever, but for me, or making them say, all of a sudden, we get a volleyball coach who doesn't teach in the building, has another job outside the building. Oh, by the way, you're required to do work too. Her and her assistant don't work in the building.
Yeah,
It's
they're
really
not
hard for
like
them
that.
to get in here and do it. That's my 2 cents. I think you just have a running list. These are the clubs. If it comes within 2 weeks of not being filled, the top club that's on it, you're responsible. You get a 2-week head notice,
Okay,
figure it out, you go to the bottom.
so
Well, but then how are you, is
So,
it out?
my question, I guess I don't know this, so it's a question. Are there outside groups that wanna do this, that are chomping at the bit and we're
Not
just not
shopping at the
allowing
bit,
it?
no, because I'm the one that got the hockey to do it, and the only reason 3rd and 4th grade baseball's doing it. Is because I look like an idiot as an athletic director when I got a double header coming and I don't have concessions. That makes me as the athletic director and us as a district look really bad. So that's why we've stepped up and done 5, the 3rd and 4th grade baseball is doing 5 of them.
And they do get compensated.
Yeah, we're getting a chunk of money for it. Now, could it be advertised to the outside groups?
Yeah,
But there are outside groups going, well, I'll come in and work it, I just want the cash
Yeah.
for me instead of for a group. I've heard
yeah,
that
see,
as
like
well.
personal people.
Yeah,
like we-
Me and my husband and my neighbor will come get it,
Yeah.
but I want 70%, you rent me. a
So are we
check.
gonna do
And
that,
that's
or are we only gonna allow
I suggest.
nonprofit?
I think they have to be nonprofit.
Okay,
Yeah, if you
Yeah, it
guys
has to be a
are,
nonprofit.
so how would you want this modified then? So.
For
like the
sure,
language-
I think we'd have to list out the teams in the activity group so that we have a running list already established and add to it as groups come in and change.
All of the teams are looking to raise money on a regular basis, even like our volleyball coach
Yeah.
has regular fundraisers for the sports team, for various things,
Well, the
so.
girls' basketball does sells their coffee stuff every
Yeah.
year and.
I don't mind the idea of letting people just pick and choose and then go back to the list, but I worry that someone's gonna be like, well,
How
We're the-
come
we're the
they're on there and we're not?
we're the first one on the list and we have to do it every single year because we
Well, the
never
list
get
would
down.
continue
But what if you
from
don't
year
get
to year.
List. And if you didn't, and if you take your two, your name's off the list. How about you do that?
Yeah,
If you work
yeah.
two mandatory, you are not on the on wait list.
That would be.
So maybe we should send this back
Bring back the
and
policy.
redo it and bring it back to policy.
Amend it.
Yeah, because we're not gonna do anything this year anyway. It's too late.
I'll be
So
on it. I'll write it up.
that would be awesome.
I'll-
Thank
I'll-
you.
what I-
Okay, so let's put that away for tonight.
I was gonna say, I'm just kind of processing through what Renee was saying about trying to get classes to work the concession stand, because way back in the day when I was in the classrooms, classes would work, because I remember being a.
Yeah, but nobody wants to do anything anymore. Let's be real.
But it's my point.
But
that
it
we
shouldn't
change.
stop us from trying.
But maybe we need to volunteer for one fundraising event in the concession stand before they're allowed to do a different one.
Could be.
Or can you allow some extra kids to just come in and do it voluntarily with other groups to get their community ed hours?
That's a
Community
possibility.
service.
Community service hours, sorry.
That could be a possibility.
I mean,
as well.
still
Let's see what Ryan comes up with
Lake
that policy.
Holcomb makes it mandatory, their seniors go on their class trip, they gotta work two.
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah.
usually
So-
senior class trip, but.
He knows what other schools do. That's what I'm saying.
I don't
Let
wanna
him
pick
come
on
up with an
Brad.
idea.
Modeled off a school that
Same
does
thing.
it this way.
Yeah,
This was modeled off a direct school.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. I think we can add just a few things to it to
And
help
you don't,
clarify it.
you know, I remember when my kids, because Unity used to have us, used to require the kids to do it too, but
No, but it didn't used to be the fight that it is now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those of you that have been here for the last 20 years know didn't used to be this fight. People wanted to do it. It's just now it's become an issue. So, all right, let's wait and we'll look at it at policy. Let's move on to telework.
Okay, so you can see basically, we've been working on this at policy several times, several meetings. So basically, the part that we went to is we just identified positions that are eligible, that we felt were eligible for telework based on other policies and other districts that we looked at. And one of the, we just wanted to make sure that it was in part where you guys.
Yeah,
wanted
we're
that.
not
So it's
authorizing anyone to work from home forever.
It's not, like we'll see in June, you know, you guys can go ahead and work. So, this is, I feel like this is what policy agreed to and wants to move
I
forward.
was thinking about potentially maybe if we needed to add one more. Ryan even commenting, like, would athletic director be able to do work from telework?
He can do his work from wherever. We don't tell him he does it. It's
So
an
that
extra
wouldn't
duty.
matter for, like,
Well,
just lifting the
already
AD, because
happening.
you just even said, like,
So
when
for
he's
example,
That's an
being
extra duty. That's
replaced.
that's an extra duty.
on
Sure.
him, but then, you know, when he gets replaced by somebody
It'll
else.
still be an extra duty.
Okay.
We can never afford a full-time athletic director.
But even if it was a part-time, we would never hire it as a part-time. It'd always just be an extra duty.
It'll always be an
If that
extra duty
happens,
position
we
in my
could always
belief, but it
take
could be added if it were to become an actual
I was
position.
just
I
thinking
just,
it was something else that
the cost would be
potentially.
astronomical.
And it can still be approved by a superior, so if there was an instance where he needed to be on campus for something on a case by case basis, we can.
I just didn't, I just didn't know if we should maybe like put it, so then there's not someone like, oh, he gets to, like, just didn't know if it should be added, but yeah, no, I get what you're all saying.
I'll make a motion to accept the telework policy
535.5.
535.4.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Jamie to approve policy 535.4 telework. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Handbook edition state tournament attendance.
okay, so we looked at that, in your documents, you have it highlighted in yellow as well. Do you want me to read it out loud or anything, or what do you want to comment on this?
I'm trying to get to it. Remember, my computer doesn't do the slide down the
We
page.
just wanted to be clear about.
We
state
can't figure out
tournament
why.
Attendance and what the district was paying for and what the district wasn't paying
Mhm.
for, but. So I'll just read it aloud. This is state tournament attendance in sports season, when they're in season. When a team or athletic athlete advances to state competition, the district will pay the cost of the coach's hotel room and per diem per coach per day for meals plus paid leave and a sub for school employees. Coaches not to exceed 2 coaches taking players to the state tournament as spectators shall be allowed to attend. They shall be allowed their release time from school, and the school will pay their transportation, provide their tickets to the tournament, and pay daily meal rates not to exceed 2 days. In the event the students do not attend, the same coaches will be allowed to attend and will be furnished by the board the release time to do so and the cost of the tickets. Virtual attendance by prior administrative approval only and will not be granted as paid leave.
So this came up because someone wanted to watch the state tournament from home. And that's fine, but we're not going to pay them to sit home and watch it. And if they travel down there to watch it, it is a form of continuing education as a coach.
Okay.
So then we felt that, yes, we would pay
Okay.
for their sub, but we won't pay for their hotels unless the team itself goes.
Mhm.
And I think that's always been the policy for as long as I've been here anyway.
Do you think we need to put a limit on how many coaches when they advance to competition? I mean, I know all of our sports have different number of coaches. I don't know. I just didn't know if we need to be like, okay, only 6 can go, or are we gonna pay for 10 if we pull up 10? Or is it only like the paid coaches?
It's just like the coach and the
Whoever's
assistant coach.
paid.
Yeah, it's not all the volunteer coaches. We don't pay for all of them to go.
Does that need to be spelled out, or are we all have that clear to them, do you think?
So you're not technically paid, I would say not 2 coaches. Technically
So it's.
It says 2 for one part of it.
That's
For that,
what
they're
maybe
just going to
asked.
observe. It doesn't say if they go to play.
You know, I
But-
mean, even when we have some of our volunteer coaches, I'm sure are vital, like if our football team were to go to, like, you don't like not want, you know, probably some of these non-paid coaches, I just want to make sure, like, I don't know if it matters or not. I'm trying to,
How many are volunteer?
I don't know either. I don't know how many coaches we have for different things, just making sure stuff is gonna get covered if and when.
Well, I think to make this a little clearer, up here in the first line, because there's actually a couple different sentences in here. It says when a team or athlete advances to the competition, the district will pay the cost of the coach's hotel. I think it should also, in parentheses, say not to exceed 2 coaches.
But we have more than
Football's
2
got
coaches
3.
on football.
Yeah.
Track's got 3.
Yeah.
So it depends on the sport.
Depends on the
That's
sport.
why we don't have it in that part.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because the necessary coaches,
My 2 cents, it should be just paid coaches, whoever the district's
Yeah.
paying.
Are we covering rooms and per diem for students?
We
for
do
Teams?
if they're
If
playing.
they're playing?
And the WIA.
It's only,
That's in a
WIA,
different policy.
for
Yeah.
any team sport, the WIA does that.
Yeah.
For track and field, they do not. You just go down and sit in the dorms.
Okay.
And I believe.
yeah, they don't
WIA
keep the
pays
track
for
and
that.
field kids very good. They make them stay in dorms.
Well, it's.
So if they
Experience.
attend as spectators, if they take kids, the kids have to fundraise.
Sure.
Yes.
to pay for
But-
it.
That we've paid, district hasn't paid for coaches' hotel rooms to go watch basketball state. I would
Correct.
think
That's why it was brought up and that's why we're
in 8
changing it.
years. Like, it's
Right.
been a long time.
I just meant we always have paid if the whole team goes to play.
Yeah.
Which has only happened once that I know of.
Right. It's per day, the year we want the WI paid for all our hotel rooms and everything else, all that we got on the board was per diem for that policy.
I see. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the state tournament attendance policy.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to approve the handbook addition to the state tournament attendance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Jury duty language change. So this one's pretty easy. The handbook said that if they got paid anything for doing jury duty, they had to give it back to the school. We're just taking it out. If they get paid mileage or whatever for jury duty, they can keep it. We're not gonna make them turn that little check over to the school.
I'll make a motion to approve the jury duty changes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open enrollment cap numbers elementary.
I am here. All right, as you can see, kindergarten or grade pre-K, we don't normally determine that until we have our screening, which is on April 10th. Right now in the census book, I have 11 students. However, typically that comes in closer to 20 by the time we start in the fall. Kindergarten students, I have 3 coming from Head Start, possibly 4 I'm hearing now. So we'd be moving into still 2 sections. Grade 1, 2 sections. Grade 2, 2 sections. Grade 3 and 4, also 2 sections. And then depending on where our numbers fall and how that all transpires as the year goes on here, I'm still looking at the need for a 3rd, 5th grade teacher then next year.
I heard from several schools that this grade level between 3, what will be 4 and 5 with the COVID year are having issues. It's not just our school.
Yeah.
I
Yep,
found that
absolutely.
interesting. That missing of
Yeah.
kindergarten really has behaviorally changed
And
some
their
kids.
littles coming in are struggling too because
Yeah.
they didn't have that early socialization.
Yes.
Carrie, for your kindergarten 25, is that also including those Head Start students, or is that 25 just currently what we have here?
That is including our Head Start students.
Okay, thank you.
So Carrie, are we looking at, we have 3 4th grade teachers this year. Are we talking about retaining one of those as a 5th grade teacher?
Possibly, we'd have to post it and see where we would land, of course.
Okay.
But we think we probably would have someone on staff that would do that, or do you think we're gonna have to hire again?
It'll depend on who posts in and what happens in different areas as to who leaves and who's
Oh, that's
staying
true.
and not
Yeah.
staying.
Okay, so it looks like we have room everywhere except for maybe 5th grade.
And,
correct?
I always have room for 5th grade, so I mean, we make do regardless. So,
Are we approving tonight?
I
We do
never
need to
cap
approve
it off.
tonight.
I always allow.
1 to 3.
No, we just need to approve the open
Oh,
enrollment
just
numbers for tonight.
The numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I need a motion to approve the open enrollment cap numbers for the elementary.
I'll make the motion to approve the elementary open enrollment cap numbers.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to approve the open enrollment cap numbers for the elementary school. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Middle school.
We're looking at 3 sections for grade 6, 7, and 8 next year with a projected enrollment of 81 students. Currently, we are at 77, so just slightly above. We do have quite a bit of seats open, as you can see there. Any questions about middle school?
All right, do I have a motion to accept the open enrollment caps for middle school?
I'll make the motion to accept the middle school open enrollment caps.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Jamie. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. High school.
High school or open enrollment cap is 180. We are looking at a projected 114, slightly less than 122 that we have currently. This is what our projections are right now in terms of courses. That could potentially change based on people leaving or having licensed teachers and that kind of thing, but this is what we have for right now. Any questions? A school.
Did we lose a few students or is the year, I think your enrollment history last year's should be 2022 to 2023 for 125? Cause your top says we have or that's projected 14, but right now we have 122. Maybe it's the.
Yeah, I might have that. I might have not fixed that first.
Yeah, I think it's just stuff. Well, earlier I looked at, so I'm like, oh, maybe there's 3, but now I look at it differently. Like, I think the years are just.
Yeah.
Need to be
This also
switched.
include the ALC students.
Oh, yeah, that was. the other
So
question I had.
we apparently were previously separating out our ALC and reporting them and Grantsburg, and it sounds like that's not really something we should be doing. Also because our students are now going to Webster, as of right now. They're not reporting our students. Basically, they're within our numbers.
Just in our high school
Within our
numbers.
high school numbers, and then we just know that we can only send a certain number there.
I'll make a motion to accept the middle school enrollment cap numbers,
High school.
or excuse me, high school, 2024, 2025.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Steve, seconded by Katie to approve the open enrollment cap numbers for the high school. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open enrollment sped.
Well, mine's a mess as it always is. Right now, we are servicing one early childhood 3-year-old student at St. Croix Tribal Head Start, and we have 2 of their 4-year-old students that we're servicing both at Head Start and here in the building. Currently in 4K, we have 1 evaluation in process and 2 referrals that are pending, means we're waiting for parent information. And we have 3 students that are receiving daily support in our regular ed setting. Because the young lady that I have doing early childhood is split between early childhood and ID.
Mhm.
I don't have any space open for open enrollment. I can't put any more on her. Elementary cross categorical. That should be 2 teachers, not 2.5 teachers. That was left from last year, an error on my part. I apologize. Business is booming in the elementary. We currently have 4 referrals in process with 4 additional projected before the end of the school year. Which is going to be a definite increase in students needing services down there. So I cannot have any open enrollment space there.
Are some of these already open enrolled students?
Some of them are already open enrolled students, and if they're open enrolled and we staff them, we do have the option of sending them back to their home district. A lot of them have siblings in the district, so
We try not to return.
We try
They're
not-
here, we try to keep them.
we try not to return them, especially if there's siblings in the building.
Mhm.
If I had a student that we staffed that came in with severe disability needs,
Mhm.
and it was going to be a financial hardship on the district,
Mhm.
I would have no choice but to send them back.
Yeah, okay.
But they're already here, and
Do you have, like, what's the percentage of our students versus who's open enrolling?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Is it, 50-50 or?
I think 2 of the ones that are in process referrals right now, I know are open enrolled. Because we've had the discussion with teachers, but.
Okay.
Can you just quickly remind me what level 1, level 2, and level 3?
So level 1 students are students that need the least amount of
Okay,
services.
that's kind of, you can probably, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
with you.
and
just wanna
level
go-
3 is
yeah.
the most.
Oh,
amount
But
of
there's a
services.
formula.
Yeah, I did figured it was one way or the other. I just wasn't sure which way it
Yeah,
was.
it's
Okay,
a really oddball formula.
okay.
And I know they were doing some stuff to kind of update and upgrade, but I haven't seen any official information yet. We were just talking about it last week at my director's meeting, so.
Okay, thank you.
Middle school. I have no space for open enrollment this time around. We've got some unique kiddos moving in with some severe needs that are going to be taking a lot of the teachers' time, I'm afraid, next year. High school, because I have 1.5 teachers. I have no space in high school either. This is back to where we used to be. Speech, of course, I haven't had any speech openings for a bazillion years. I do not have any space in our OT program right now for open enrollment students unless we would contract more time because our OT comes from CISA, as does our PT. We would have spaces available for open enrollment with PT if that needed to happen, but that's.
But truthfully, do we ever get an open enrolled student who needs only PT?
No, they can't.
So-
OT and PT.
So we basically have no space.
They're related services, so unless they would come in with something else. So. That's my numbers.
So the no spaces available is based upon what we currently have for staff, correct?
It's based on our staffing, or it's based on the needs of the students first. We have a number of students in the elementary that are very high needs right now. Some are requiring a lot of aid support, some are requiring one-on-one aid support. So it's based on the needs of the student first and where our staffing is currently. Because right now we're able to provide the services for the students that we have. But if I get another high need student in that needs a one-on-one aid, I'm having trouble finding aides anyway, so it would be very difficult to provide that service.
Okay, I was just looking at the numbers you gave as far as one teacher equals this many.
Well, if you look on the top, it kind of explains a little bit. They recommend a caseload factor of not more than 90% of the recommended caseload of 26, which means 23.4 caseload factor per teacher is what the state was recommending.
And the caseload factor is the different levels multiplied.
Yes, yes. Level 1 is the students that require more minimal services. Maybe they're just coming in for some extra help on tests. Maybe they're getting 15 minutes of social skills. They're not in the room all the time, where our level 3 students would be those that spend a lot of time in the resource room for reading and math, need to have the one-on-one aid support for functioning in the regular ed classroom and making sure they're safe so they don't run out of the building and those kinds of things.
I'll make a motion to approve the open enrollment for the special education.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to approve the open enrollment cap numbers for the special education department. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Denise, or Lisa, if you will mark that Jamie was not here for that vote, please.
Sure.
Playground financing.
Okay, so I put the minutes in here just to be clear on the numbers, and Katie, you can look at that to make sure that's accurate. And I guess what we need to decide tonight is what that number for the loan amount is gonna be for the playground. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Just wanted to,
It was the Buildings and Grounds was recommending looking at maybe 600 or 700,000. So just looking to fund the playground and not the boilers at this time. If we need to do the boilers and they wouldn't pass in referendum, we could always come back and do another loan if needed, because it would still be in about the same dollar amounts, just in 2 separate parts. I don't know if we want to approve at that low end of 500, though. I feel like there should be.
at the bottom, it says six.
Upper,
with the
6,
budget, 'cause
yeah.
Debbie was here for that. You were
Six.
here.
Yep.
Thank you. So yeah, so Debbie. just-
That would still be minimal, correct?
It would still be minimal. I think the playground was coming in at 800,000 or 900,000, so it was complete,
Yeah.
right? So it was pulling out some pieces, but we haven't like sat down with anyone to actually pull those pieces out and figure out the specifics yet. So
The infrastructure for sure.
The infrastructure,
Servicing for sure, and then the implementation is arranged. Like what we
Right.
choose to buy.
and if we can do that over some time period, so, I mean, we should approve enough to make sure that we can get the bare minimums, and I guess I'm okay approving a little bit more under if, and if we come in under that, we would just,
Prepay.
yeah, we just turn the money back in for the loan.
So are we making sure that, so like all the water structure sewer issues are gonna be taken care of? We're gonna re-blacktop everything, we're gonna create that. What was it, soft playground
I-
space by the 4K?
I
think
don't
some
know
of
if we
these
would be able to
things,
do that soft
to me,
base
I
by the
just
4K
feel like,
because it's gonna be costly to do that poured rubber. I think, we'll have to decide some of them, like if we want the handicap accessible portion, that's gonna have to be poured rubber, but maybe the
Yeah, I think
4K
that
portion can come later on to be the poured rubber, if that's what we want to do. Maybe it would be fine to do it as asphalt, depending on the size of the structure the kids are climbing on. I don't know. Those are questions we'd have to sit down once we finally figure out the individual pieces.
So the main thing tonight is we have to agree on a number to start a loan process, or it's going to be too late to do anything
Yes.
this year. So if the plan is still to go forward this summer, we have to approve an amount for Kevin to go out and get the loan.
I think
So that's what we're here for.
and is that just the playground? What's,
Yes.
and the boiler we're not worrying about?
We can't test the boilers until spring, where they
Yeah.
would get turned off and
Sorry, I
do the.
stepped on
That
testing.
energy grant is
No.
also underway.
I'm sorry, what?
That energy grant is being worked on. right?
Oh, good.
So
It's
it's because of
due to
boilers,
something.
if they test and don't need a full replacement, we wouldn't want to have borrowed money
Right.
for something that we
And there
don't
is the
need.
potential we can put the boilers on the referendum in a fall question, and then they would be covered anyway. But we can't put the playground on because it looks publicly like we've already found the money.
Well,
for
and
the
like he
playground.
said too, at that one meeting, like, do we want to add it to a survey? And then the community say no, but we're going
Yeah,
ahead with the playground
right.
anyways. Like, if we're doing the play, like, yeah, okay.
Do it.
I think we're caught up now.
Just for a little update, because I've talked to some of the people on the board about the boilers. So that's what I did for 37 years at Honeywell. I designed the controls for the boilers and have been in almost every manufacturer in the I've been in every manufacturer in the United States and a few over in Europe. But the problem we have right now is that we have two boilers. And if we take one down and something happens to the other one, we cannot go with no heat in the building. So we have to sort of wait until the weather gets warmer so that if we do have a no heat situation, kids will still be comfortable to come to school and stuff, and we can still provide, hot water and stuff. So I did make a call to the contractors that I work with in Minneapolis that work specifically on the burner. So they're willing to come up and take a look at our equipment. But that means, like I say, taking one down, we pull the whole thing apart and do a complete inspection. It's something that should have been done annually per boiler codes in the state of Wisconsin. I don't know if they were. Dan's trying to find the paperwork and stuff that him and I can sort of dig through and find out, but the reason it's done in the spring or during the summer is no one's in school, or we need minimum heat for the guys to work on. Then when they come back to school, they're all ready to go. They've been inspected, approved.
So if we wait until like, let's say May, when we're beginning of May to start tearing these apart, and then you realize like, oh yeah, like we probably ain't putting these ones back together. How quickly is the process of like getting them replaced?
The equipment, I think, is pretty readily available.
Okay.
It'd just be the contractors when they fit it in. And that's why I've sort of queued up the guys down in the cities to say, hey, look, I know you're interested. I'll be there, Dan will be there.
We'd have to put it out for RFP. Right?
Well, yeah, because, it's,
I was just curious. I mean, I didn't know at the time, but yeah. So I don't know. So basically what budget committee is coming to us requesting to move ahead with
A loan.
loan, and then
yeah.
what's the amount that you guys are recommending that we look
That's-
for?
So
At least, at least 600,000 unless someone would.
She
want
did indicate that we could potentially go locally then with loans.
She did talk about that, yep,
She would help us through that process.
yeah,
Peggy, you got some looks in your.
I know,
eye.
because it's hard because
I have a hard time because my fear is something major goes down and we don't have the borrowing power to fix it.
Mhm.
But I know that the consensus of the group has been that we need the playground and I'm willing to bite my tongue and go forward with the loan.
we do have the possibility of raising the limit with,
Correct.
with the taxes, what's the
Levy.
levy
levy,
limit?
yes.
So, I mean, next year we can ask for more, $400 more per kid.
I don't know if it's quite that much. I'd have to
Yeah.
Go back and look at that.
Which isn't a whole lot. of
It's
money,
not a
but
whole
It is
lot,
some money, you're
But there
right.
is some there too. It's not.
So do I have a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion to move forward with a loan in the amount of 600,000.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to move forward with a loan for $600,000. Think we've already discussed. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Survey draft.
Okay, so I talked to Rob, as I told you before. We talked about what we would put in the survey. Boilers was key. So in the meantime, as he's working on that, we do need to definitively decide what we want in that survey. So he's working on a draft right now, but in the meantime, he sent me that updated timeline. So that's all I have for you at this point in time, but as soon as we get a draft, I mean, I know the boilers was a piece to that, but I don't know what else we wanted to do. He is talking roofs potentially.
Is he
Yeah,
gonna
there
word
is
the
one
questions
section, I
out
believe.
Yes.
for us?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
and
believe
then,
there's one section of roof that should be coming up on end of warranty.
Mhm.
And we all know what happened last time. We didn't take care of that.
So yeah, he was at the convention too, so he didn't have, he had a break, and so hopefully the next thing I have for you then is a draft.
Okay. All right, then, we will look at meeting calendars. So February, we do have a couple of no school days in there. I just want to point that out. The other thing is I'm just going to. The regular meeting would normally be on Monday, the 26th of February, and that is fine for y'all to go ahead. I just wanted understood that if that's the day of the meeting, I will not be here that week.
I won't be here that week either.
25th.
The week,
26th.
well, the 26th is Monday, yeah.
What month is this on here?
February.
You guys are saying Monday the 26th, is this, whatever the calendar this is, it says Monday's the 25th.
no, it's Monday's the 26th.
It starts on Sundays.
It's a Sunday
It always
over here.
it messes me up because Sunday's not where I expect it to be.
So go down.
She's looking online, so I don't.
that side of the box. 25
Oh.
on that side.
Yeah, I can't look at that calendar.
Okay. Well, I guess,
Yeah, that's right.
can we make a motion to, are you guys here the 19th? Because I don't know, I mean.
There's no school that day, though. So that means bringing everybody in on a no school day.
I mean, we could for one time do it on a Tuesday. We've done it before on 2 days.
Is there basketball and stuff that Tuesday, though?
No, probably.
No?
20.
Not
Wait a
on the
minute, no.
20th, no, there's nothing
Oh.
on the 20th or the
Oh.
26th.
Well,
Yeah, I
you need to
can't look
look, it could be,
Yeah,
it's gonna say when do tournaments start, like there could be
Tuesday the 27th.
two, so we'll have first round.
Tuesday, the 27th.
But nothing on.
So
yeah.
Well,
Tuesday, the
20 no, the
20th.
Girls may play the 20th, the boys play 27th. First round,
Guys, in the band room might have it on the.
it should be on the school calendar, I thought I saw it on the school calendar,
We can't put tournament games in
Oh.
on the school calendar. So.
not to be determined.
Right.
What was I just looking at? I seen something. Must be the girls' schedule from Karsten.
So if we moved it to Tuesday, February 20th, could everybody make that night?
Yes.
Can talk to you.
I can do that.
Which night?
Tom,
Tuesday, the 20th.
Jamie?
I'm looking up the girls' schedule.
Okay.
Cause I think it's first round regional play. There's only. we come back to it? Let's talk about why don't we talk about
Girls
the,
basketball regionals start, or the 20th, February 2023, 24. So everybody would be in the one on the 20th.
that's what I thought. So I would prefer not having a meeting, but I mean, I don't know if the rest of you, and I'm just not there. Unless it's a home game, then I can, because we wouldn't play till 7, they start at 7, right? This show?
Yep.
Okay.
You're on.
I'm out the 21st through the 28th.
Okay, so what other night works?
We might just have to go for the 19th. I mean, it sucks because it's not a school day, but it's the only one that's.
Don't want to go
I think our last one
before.
was non-school day.
It was, yeah.
The Monday before, what?
Doesn't matter.
The 12th?
That's too soon.
That's too soon.
That's too soon. We can't be ready by the 12th. We won't even have barely have a treasurer's report.
I'm saying, I think we're gonna have.
Okay, so what are we thinking, guys?
Does not matter. to
I'd
me.
prefer the 19th,
I can do 19th. I'm to.
And we can let, people can zoom in if they have a distance, so they don't have to drive all the way in here.
Well, let's make a motion then, somebody.
Well, it doesn't have to be a motion, and we just set the meeting date.
Oh.
So is everybody good with the 19th, 6 P.M.?
6 p.m.
Yep, regular time on the 19th.
All right.
Okay, and we can do an abbreviated meeting too, if you guys don't want to do reports or whatever. Just so we can at least get the bills paid.
Yep.
All right, so then using the 19th as the date, then budget and finance should be the week of the 12th.
So I'm gone that entire week. You guys approved that I could go work on my national certification. So I'm gone that entire week.
Okay,
Till
so
15th.
will there be anything other than the treasurer's report at that budget meeting?
If there's information on this loan,
Will it come in that fast?
They don't know.
no.
And it'd be informational, so you guys already approved going forward. I suppose.
Right, so could we just do it at the main meeting? So let's not do a budget and finance. Okay, how about buildings and grounds? Do they need one?
I have some things that I learned at the conference that I'd like to
Okay.
add onto an agenda, just a couple items.
So you guys could go the week of the 5th?
Well, they have
Ours is
the 8th.
pre-scheduled for the 8th.
Oh, okay.
Does that work for Tom?
At what time?
3:30 on the 8th. That's.
Does that work for the people on that committee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we're going to move.
Do we need a policy?
Do we need a policy one? We did a lot of policies this month. Do we have any?
I don't know if there's anything additional. There might. be
Okay,
something.
if something
I don't
comes
think
up,
it's
we
not
can
good.
plan it. Let's say to be determined.
Okay.
All right, so we are setting only one meeting, that's building and grounds on the 8th at 3:30 with the monthly meeting be at 6 o'clock on the 19th. If something comes up for the other two, we can set one.
And then we also have on the agenda March.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why we're worried about March already, because most of us don't even know what we're doing in February.
Because it was
Spring
spring.
break.
Yeah, I spring break.
break.
yeah.
Okay. So
So-
in
I
March,
thought we already moved. On my queue.
So we want to move the meeting to the 18th.
yeah. I'm trying to get there. Sorry, I didn't mark out that far.
I know what
Okay.
I'm doing next March.
So March 18th? You want to go ahead and set that as a monthly meeting? Does that work for everyone?
Should work.
Instead of the 25th?
I'll have to zoom in.
Okay. Everybody else works?
Mhm.
All right. So we will also move that March meeting to the 18th, so we can go ahead and let the papers or whatever know if they want to come, that it's going to be early those 2 months. All right, so at this time,
No,
we're gonna go to the approval of the bills.
Yeah.
Looking for a motion to approve the bills for the cycle December 19th through January 22nd.
that motion to approve the bills.
Kitty.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Steve to approve the payment of the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have no items for board signature.
Vouchers.
Okay, that's done. So we will move. This time we'll convene to closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851 CEFG to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility, considerations of financial, medical, social, or personal information, and to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Katie, seconded by Jamie to go to close.
Just a second, please.
Jamie, if you will call the roll in Dave's absence, please.
Yeah.
Are you going?
Katie,
Yes.
Carrie?
Peggy,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jamie, yes.
Okay, we are now in closed.
Okay, can you hang on just one second? Carrie, can you hear me? Are you staying in for closed or are you leaving?
Looks like she's.
I wasn't sure what I needed to do.
Well, I'll have to open up a new one.
She doesn't have to stay if she
I
doesn't.
guess you don't have to stay, so if you don't mind, I'm